Okay, so like everyone listening, I'm guessing you're ready to actually think in another language.
Not just like basic tourist phrases.
Right. We're talking fluency
Like real conversations.
without that mental translation
It's a
struggle.
dream for so many people.
But figuring out how to get there, that's the tricky part.
For sure.
So that's where we're bringing in the big guns today.
Oh, big guns. That sounds exciting.
It is. We dug into advice from Ollie Richards.
Okay, I know that name. He's kind of a legend.
Exactly. The guy speaks 8 languages.
8? No way. Seriously.
Seriously. So we figured if anyone's cracked the code.
He's got to be the one.
Right. So what I loved about his approach,
Yeah.
he avoids all those like cheesy learn in a week promises.
Thank goodness those drive me nuts.
Right. This is about strategies that work.
Strategies for the long haul.
Exactly. And the first one might surprise you.
Hit me with it.
He says, drop the whole juggling multiple languages thing.
Wait, really? I thought more was better.
That's what I thought too.
Right.
But he makes a good point.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's about focus, that mental bandwidth we all have.
Like spreading yourself too thin.
Exactly. One language at a time, you go deeper, faster.
It's kind of like when you learn anything new.
Right. Master one skill before adding more.
Okay, that makes sense.
So then there's this other thing like those textbook dialogues.
Oh, you mean I go to the store, that kind of stuff?
Exactly. They seem so basic, almost childish.
Yeah, do those actually H-A-L-P?
Richard says yes, and here's why.
I'm all ears.
Those phrases use the most common words you'll ever need.
Oh, so it's like building blocks.
Totally. Foundation for more complex stuff later.
So don't knock the basics, they're important.
And while we're on the topic of foundations,
Okay, what else?
pronunciation, gotta nail it early.
Ugh. Yeah, I still struggle with some sounds.
It's so hard to break those habits later.
Tell me about it. So what's the solution?
Richards is big on mimicking native speakers from day one.
Makes sense, but how?
Audio tools, maybe even a tutor for personalized feedback.
Like getting your form right before you lift heavy weights.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, ready for something really cool? He's got this concept called language islands.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. What are those?
So instead of random topics, you pick a theme you love.
Okay, like what?
Say, history's your thing. Instead of just random eras.
You dive deep into something specific.
Right, like different historical wars, get it.
Ooh, so you're seeing the same vocab over and over.
Military terms, locations, all connected.
Like natural reinforcement, I love that.
It's immersion, but with purpose. Really
Like
smart.
way more engaging than random vocabulary lists.
Okay, and speaking of immersion, this is big.
What is it?
Comprehensible input. Sounds technical, right?
Kinda. Break it down for me.
Basically, reading and listening to stuff just above your level.
Okay, so I get the gist. Even if not every word?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Challenging, but not overwhelming.
Like how kids learn by listening to adults.
Right. They don't understand everything, but they absorb it.
Okay, I'm following.
And this is where Richards really got my attention.
What is it?
He's huge on stories, not just for fun.
Well, for learning, too.
He learned Italian in 90 days,
Mhm.
focused on speaking months 2 and 3.
Wow. And he credits stories with that.
Yep. He says they activate more of your brain than just drills.
It's like more engaging, memorable.
Exactly. So we're seeing this pattern, right?
Make it fun, enjoyable, not a chore.
And that leads us to his reading technique. Super efficient.
Okay, tell me. I need all the efficiency I can get.
So first, you read a whole chapter, NO stopping for words.
Wait, seriously? Even if I don't get everything?
Yep. This first pass is for the big picture, the flow.
Interesting, so it's like skimming with a purpose.
Exactly. Then you go back for details you missed.
Okay, so first read for context, second for deeper understanding.
Then, and only then, look up repeated words, like 5+ times.
Oh, so the most important vocab, not getting sidetracked.
And here's the kicker. No going back to memorize more.
Keep that forward momentum. I like it.
Dictionary time shouldn't outweigh content time.
Makes sense. And this applies to choosing books too, right?
He says, read wisely, not widely.
Meaning?
Skip the Harry Potter unless you're going to Hogwarts.
Huh. Okay, so what should we read?
Nonfiction, topics you already love.
So you're motivated, and the language is more practical.
Boom. Now, gotta ask about those side-by-side translation books.
Oh, yeah. Those are tempting, especially starting out.
He says, ditch them.
What? Why? They seem so helpful.
He argues they make your brain lazy.
Huh. I never thought of it that way.
When the translation's right there, you don't really struggle.
It's like having training wheels on your bike.
You're safe, but not developing those skills.
So even though it's harder, wrestling with the text is better.
Deeper understanding in the long run, he says. So then the big question, when do we actually start speaking?
Yeah, that's the goal, right?
He's all about starting early, like month 2, daily conversations.
Wow, that's ambitious.
Right. But he gives solutions, language partners, apps.
Even tutors online, like Reply.
So no excuses.
Yeah.
But what if you don't have a partner handy?
Good point. How do we create that immersion at home?
He's got some cool ideas. Change your phone language.
Ooh, I like that. Easy to do.
Podcasts while you do chores. Talk to your smart assistant.
Surrounding yourself with the language, I love it.
Okay, ready for a controversial one?
Hit me.
He says, no movies or TV with subtitles, even in your target language.
What? But I thought that was supposed to be good.
Here's the thing. You end up reading, not truly listening.
So it's passive, not active learning.
Exactly. If you watch, make it pure audio, no crutches.
Okay, I'll try it.
This last piece of advice really hit home for me.
What is it?
Embracing the unknown. Being okay with not getting everything.
Letting go of that perfectionism. I struggle with that.
It's so easy to get stuck looking up every word.
And then you never make any real progress.
He says, focus on the big picture. Details come with time.
Like learning to swim, you don't start with perfect strokes.
You just get in the water and go.
Okay, that's a good one.
And lastly, he's adamant, no easy hacks, no shortcuts.
We all wish for that magic pill.
Right. It's all about effort, finding what motivates you.
No one right way, just what works for each person.
Exactly. So that's the rundown on Ollie Richards' wisdom.
Wow, a lot to unpack there.
Right. So much good stuff.
I'm already thinking about which of these I want to try first.
Me too. But we've covered a lot of techniques, the H, how, W.
Right, the practical side of things.
But there's something else Richards doesn't explicitly mention.
Oh, what's that?
Mindset. Our own beliefs, could those be holding us back?
Ooh, interesting point. We haven't really touched on that.
Right. Like, what if you don't believe you can learn?
Even with the best tools, that's going to be tough.
Exactly.
Ah,
So alongside all these awesome strategies,
you've got to examine our own thinking, too.
are we setting ourselves up for success or war for struggle?
Big question to ponder.
It is. And we'll dive deeper into that next time.
Can't wait. This is giving me so many ideas already.
Me too. So much to explore, and we're just getting started.
So until next time, happy language learning, everyone. So much good stuff.
I know, right? It's like so many light bulb
It's
moments.
definitely, like I'm already rethinking my whole approach.
Me too. Like, even small tweaks can make a big difference.
Absolutely. It's about finding what works. Right.
Totally. And one thing that really stuck with me,
Yeah.
that whole language islands concept, it's so smart.
You know, right? Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the whole language,
It's like you create these little zones of expertise.
based on what you're already passionate about.
It makes it so much less daunting.
And way more fun. Like, I'm actually excited to try that.
Me too. And it plays into how our brains work anyway.
Right. We learn by connecting ideas, building on what we know.
It's like you're not just memorizing random words,
You're creating these meaningful networks of knowledge.
and it all starts to click together.
It's brilliant.
Okay, confession time. I've been guilty of this.
What's that?
Getting stuck in the input phase.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Reading, listening, tons of input.
But not actually speaking.
Exactly. Like you feel productive, but are you really?
It's easy to fall into that trap,
Which is why Richards emphasizes speaking early and often.
even if it feels scary, right?
Exactly. You got to push past that discomfort zone.
It's where the real learning happens.
You mentioned earlier that you were intrigued by the advice to ditch parallel texts.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Tell me, what resonated with you there?
I think, like many learners, I've been tempted by those side-by-side translations.
Especially when starting out, it feels safer.
But Richards makes a good point. They can make you lazy.
Right. Your brain doesn't have to work as hard.
You're not really grappling with the language.
It's like having the answer key right there all the time.
You're not really learning, just copying.
So even though it's harder, struggling with the text is better.
It forces you to think, to really engage with the language.
And that leads to deeper understanding in the long run.
Okay, I'm convinced.
Now, a big part of that struggle, and learning in general,
Is making mistakes.
exactly. It's something we all try to avoid.
But Richard says, embrace the mistakes.
They're not failures, they're feedback.
They show you what you need to work on.
And without mistakes, you're not really pushing yourself.
You're staying in your comfort zone, not growing.
So don't be afraid to mess up. It's part of the process.
And celebrate those small wins along the way.
Yes. Like when you finally understand a joke in your target
Or
language.
have a conversation without feeling totally lost.
Those are the moments that keep you motivated.
And when you hit a roadblock, remember why you started.
What's that bigger goal driving you?
Connecting with family, traveling the world,
It's not just about the language itself. It's about what it unlocks.
new experiences, new perspectives, new possibilities.
And speaking of possibilities, I think there's one crucial element missing here.
Ooh, I like where this is going. What is it?
Something Richards doesn't explicitly address, but it's huge.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. Tell me.
Mindset.
Mindset.
Our own beliefs about language learning, about ourselves.
Could those be holding us back?
Absolutely. Imagine if you don't believe you can learn.
Even with the best methods, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Right. So alongside these awesome strategies, we need to examine our thinking.
Are our thoughts helping or hindering us?
Because you can have all the tools in the world.
But if you don't believe in yourself,
It's going to be an uphill battle.
so how do we cultivate that belief?
That's a big question, and one we're going to dive into next time.
I can't wait. This is giving me so much to think about already.
Me too. And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
So much more to explore.
We'll see you back here soon.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's like we unlock new levels of understanding.
Not just about the new language, but our own too.
Oh, totally. Like you suddenly see things you never noticed before.
All those little grammar rules, the way we structure sentences,
It's like you become more aware of language itself.
and appreciate it on a whole new level.
Which brings us back to that point you made earlier.
About mindset.
Yeah, I think it's so crucial but often overlooked.
We get caught up in the techniques, the how-tos.
But what about the internal stuff, our beliefs?
If you're walking around thinking, I'm bad at languages,
That's going to create so much resistance.
it's like self-sabotage before you even begin.
So how do we combat that? How do we build a more positive mindset?
Well, first off, remembering everyone learns differently.
There's no one-size-fits-all, no perfect pace.
And comparing yourself to others is a recipe for disaster.
Right. Like some people might pick things up quicker.
But that doesn't mean you're not capable.
It's about finding your own rhythm, your own path.
And embracing those mistakes along the way.
Not seeing them as failures, but as feedback.
Exactly. Each mistake is a little lesson.
Showing you where you need to focus, what needs more practice.
And instead of aiming for perfection, which is impossible,
Aim for progress, those small wins that keep you going.
like understanding a joke in your target language.
Or having a conversation without feeling completely lost.
Those little victories, they add up.
And they remind you why you started learning in the first place.
Right. What's that deeper motivation driving you?
Connecting with family, traveling the world, whatever it is.
Tap into that. Let it fuel you when things get tough.
Because language learning, it's not just about the words.
It's about expanding your world, connecting with people.
Experiencing different cultures, new ways of thinking.
It's an adventure, really.
And like any adventure, there will be challenges.
But the rewards are so worth it.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Remember, be kind to yourself.
Hmm.
Embrace the process.
and most importantly, believe in your ability to learn.
You've got this. We believe in you.
Happy learning, everyone.
And we'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.